colder. We're going to be down around 38 degrees tonight. This has been your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center.
I want to see the kind of industries that are opening up.
This is Local Biz Now with Joe Vagnone, where your business matters. Local Biz Now.
You have to determine what is working, what isn't working.
Joe Vagnone is a respected business broker, helping individuals buy and sell businesses. Joe has successfully owned and operated many companies in a variety of industries. This is Local Biz Now, because your business matters.
And this is Local Biz Now. I am Joe Vagnone. You are listening to the #1 talk business show in all of North Carolina. We are coming to you live from our brand new Burner Cigar Studio, home of the finest premium cigars and cigar smokers in the world. Great people, premium cigars, home of the finest premium cigars and cigar smokers. Life is good at Burner Cigars, located in Birkdale Village. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. My buddy Josh did an exceptional job at the Southern Christmas show, where he sold a ton of gifts and supplies. And if you need them or miss them, you're going to be able to get some of those for us cigar smokers at Burners in Birkdale Village, and we look forward to you going by there and checking all of that out. You are listening to Local Biz Now. I am Joe Vagnone. We want to inspire, inform, and entertain you, because that's what we do at News Talk WSIC. This is 105.9 FM, 100.7 FM, and 1400 AM. Let me prove to you why we're #1 in the state. Going on 10 years strong. We have well over 800 small business owners and community leaders that we have interviewed. We have well over 565, I said 565 videos on my brand new sexy YouTube channel. Go to Joe Vagnone Business Broker on Facebook. On the tubes. We are live on the book right now. Those of you who don't know what Joe Talk is, tubes is YouTube, and book is Facebook. And we'll be more than happy to take your questions on the book if you'd like as well. If it is Monday afternoon, your business matters. Also, every Monday afternoon, we have a co-host that is here to assist us in this month. It is my good friend Patrick Reynolds. Patrick is here. You know, I thought about it for a week how to introduce Patrick, because Patrick is, he is like that woman that's done nothing, said nothing, produced nothing, absolutely no redeeming qualities whatsoever, and everybody wants to be Patrick. I don't understand it. He's been around the block, been a friend of mine for years. We met at WSIC. He was the salesman for WSIC for a while, also sold some sexy magazine articles for NASCAR for a while as well. Worked for Waves Entertainment. He is an all-around dude. Everybody knows him. Everybody wants to be him. And somehow he is the only person, second person ever to co-host this show, or to host this show when I am not here. How did that happen, Patrick? Thank you for being here, buddy.
You worked on that for a week. You started out downhill. We're going down. We're going to burn. We're going to crash. You did pull it out at the end there a little bit, my introduction. But yeah, you worked on that for a week, huh?
Kardashian. That's the word I was looking. You are the Lake Norman Kardashian.
I'm famous for being famous.
Famous for being Patrick. That's what I was after.
I'm Patrick Reynolds.
That's right.
That's it.
That's right.
So what do you do for a living?
That's
I'm
right.
Patrick Reynolds. What do you sell? I'm Patrick Reynolds.
That's right.
It.
That's right.
It.
That's right.
So what is your question? Did you ask me anything, or are we just going to hang out for a while here?
That's it. Who's Patrick? Tell everybody, because you didn't get a chance to do that last week. You just had to step in and take charge, which, by the way, you did an exceptional job. So who is Patrick? Because those of you that know me know I have adored Patrick for years.
Aw.
I ask your advice. You and I would go to breakfast every Friday morning.
I miss those. Miss those days.
And I would ask you just loads of questions. You're kind of my dad knows best guy. So I have admired you from afar for many years. But tell people who Patrick Reynolds is all about.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I didn't get a chance last week. Slightly disappointed that you showed up this week to host the show a little bit. I had a blast last week as being a local Biz Now with Patrick Reynolds. The radio version, because I can go on and on about this, but I don't because we have business we need to get to. We've got a great guest coming up a little later in the show. I am a New England native, Connecticut boy. Moved to literally Mooresville, North Carolina. The same way people move to Charlotte, North Carolina, the same way a country music singer would move to Nashville, the same way an actor would move to Hollywood. I was in New England, and if you want to get involved in NASCAR, you move to Charlotte. So that's what I did. I was a racer up there on grassroots level. Whoa.
You actually got in the car?
Yeah. Yes, it did.
I didn't know that.
Yes. I was behind the wheel, yes.
200 mile an hour?
No, slower. Yes, I was in Connecticut and New York State. Dirt tracks, short tracks, paved tracks, never to the upper levels of NASCAR, but to the grassroots level, yes.
Got it.
I climbed through the window, had a fire suit, buckled up, went around the track, hung left turns really fast.
Is it as fun as it seems or scary?
No, it is the most fun you're going to have dressed.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let me ask you a question. From my vantage point, right, I knew you back when you were doing a radio show talking about NASCAR.
Right.
So I should have known you probably were in the car.
Not necessarily, because a lot of people do talk about it without any driving experience.
Yeah, in this radio station, there's a lot of people talking about stuff they know nothing about. But we try not
Tell
to
me
make
about
that
business,
happen.
Joe.
That's right. We try not to let that happen on this show. That's right.
I made it from the world of auto racing. I stumbled into radio. Literally did. 2008, the recession greatly impacted the professional NASCAR world. A lot of the sponsorship went away. I was unemployed for quite a while, and I found myself at a local Chamber of Commerce gathering, literally looking for a job, any kind, meeting business owners. I met a fella. He said, "Have you ever tried radio?" I said, "No." He goes, "Do you want to give it a shot?" I said, "Sure." By coincidence, the gentleman's name, Mike Garrity. If you may or may not remember him.
I know Mike
You
well.
know Mike. The very next week, he was starting a auto racing talk show on, of all places, where? Right here, WSIC Radio. Total coincidence that we happened to run into each other. Met him. I auditioned for the show the following week. We started the show the following week after that.
He's a true communication expert.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is also a guy, whether you know about this, behind the wheel experience.
I didn't know that.
He has been a NASCAR. Let's see, he was in the Dash Series, in the four-cylinder series. He raced in the NASCAR Truck Series as well. He made up to the national touring levels of NASCAR behind the wheel.
So Mike Garrity is actually how we met then.
Yes.
That's interesting.
He a little bit more to the story than that. The story started, or excuse me, the show started here on WSIC. It continued on. Eventually, everything evolves and changes. I went away from the station. I found my way back to the station in sales and an on-air personality. I believe that's when you and I met, roughly 2017-ish. I was Wes Muntz was my mentor in sales, a spectacular salesman.
Spectacular man.
Yes,
period.
fantastic guy. Some of our listeners probably remember him. I learned the outside sales game was on air, and that's where I met you, and we kept rolling.
So, Wilton, you could have stood up. You could have waved. You could have done something.
Joe Vagnone, radio host.
You guys need anything?
Yeah, I need a host that can watch the clock. That's what I
He needs a host that
need.
knows how to do. I'm sorry.
I gave a 30 in there. I don't know if it was while you're talking. I tried to wiggle it around a little bit.
You're supposed to be watching the thing.
I kept looking, and I kept seeing the 60, and then nothing else. And then all I seen was your disgust in your face, and I'm like, something must have happened.
That's because we timed it up just nicely on the radio.
Okay, who's watching the timer? Me or him? I need to be. I need to be hosting
Like
this.
I said, I've been doing this for 10 years. I'm still an amateur at it. Oh, that's funny. Okay.
You missed
all right.
0 breaks last week.
Look, thank you.
All right.
When we come back, we need to open with that.
Right, so we'll be back in like a little over 90 seconds.
Julie says, there's hard breaks at 4:15. Why do you have to be told this?
I could have done a little bit more.
You could have stood up.
I could have stood up.
You could have blown a whistle.
You didn't need that with me last week, Wilton.
I was pressing go, and then I accidentally clicked next video, so then I had to go back and find the video, then I had to catch the time up. All of that is just an excuse.
I kept looking at the 60,
Yep.
and
I
then
got you. How about this? I'll pop it up when it's a little bit
so he
closer to
does
break.
that for me. He puts that
Oh,
box
I
up
know. I ran this last week just fine.
just fine.
It was fine last week.
there. Okay.
How close did we get? How close I dropped that? I
We
dropped
hit it
that right
perfect,
in there.
right?
Okay. All right. Okay.
So, yeah, I checked.
Okay.
I didn't see anything from Mike yet. Granted, he still got another segment to send.
Wilton, you're the worst board operator in the Cornelius. I want to make that clear.
That would not surprise
I mean, a proper board operator would have stood up. You'd done a dance or something.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
I'm learning.
All right. So we were just talking. I don't even know where we stopped. I have no idea.
Patrick was introducing himself. He had just talked about how he stumbled into a new job at WSIC.
We don't even know what he heard. What was the last thing they heard? Take a guess.
That he had just, the next week, he just started a radio show. And it was
All
about
that?
racing.
You let me talk for 2 more minutes. Well, everybody on Facebook got a good chit
look,
chat.
10 seconds. Exclusive content. That's it. 10 seconds. Here we go.
Oh, boy.
WSIC.
That's what the co-host's supposed to do. WSIC. You are listening to the #1 talk business show in North Carolina, live from the Burner Cigar Studio, home of finest premium cigars, fine premium cigar smokers in the world. Go to Burner's Cigars in Brookdale. You are listening to Local Biz Now, where your business matters. I'm here with Patrick Reynolds. He was describing for me in great detail
What a hard break is in radio. Because you obviously don't know.
I've only been doing this 10 years.
Only 10 years.
And I need a little practice.
And I want to say hello to everybody that listened during the break on Facebook, because I saw Wilton come in and they said, Patrick, you did not miss a break last week. But Joe, first show of the show. We've been waiting 6 years to do this together, and we missed our first commercial break. We're in mid-sentence.
We'll get it. We'll get it.
Okay, we're going to get this next one. Okay.
So-
anyway, where were we?
So what I wanted to talk about, Patrick, is
Go
that
ahead.
you are, I think why we connect is you really are this guy that reinvents yourself as we continue to grow. And I've watched you do that over the years, which really is what small business people are all about, right? So the last time we saw each other, I was at the, was it the Catawba Walk or the?
That was the Second Friday Street Festival.
Street Festival.
Right, it's
Right.
a Friday night in
You look
Cornelius.
like you was the man out there. You look like you were in charge of that.
I look that. I stay in my lane, but yes, Waves Entertainment, where I work, who I work with now, as well as my hosting duties. Yeah, we are a big piece of that puzzle. I stay in my lane with what I'm doing, MC and host, and there's a lot of business aspects to that. But that takes an entire team. A lot of people. You
Right.
saw the stage, the live music, the vendors, the kids' activities. There's a lot of people involved in that. But yeah, I'm elbows deep with the Second Friday.
And it really is reinventing yourself, and I see that, right? And that's when I said, hey, man, I got to get you back on the show.
That's when you said that we waited a long time
That's
to do
right.
this. Yeah,
We
but
did.
you are correct. Reinvention, I think being willing to do that and actually being encouraged to do that, vital for small business, large business too, for that matter. But the entrepreneurs, the small business owners around Lake Norman and Charlotte, you have to be ready to roll, flex all the time. because
Right.
what's working now is, I think in your the intro to the show, what's working, what's not working. 6 months is a long time in business. That's going to change. Whatever you're facing today, it's going to look different 6 months from now.
So one of the things I really liked about what Waves is doing, they are trying to give this promotional big feel to small towns. How's that working? I remember when you were starting that with Case, right? Like this it's not that long ago.
No, it wasn't. And Case Warner Monday, big part of this. He started that OTC, the General Old Town Cornelius, and the festivals, the Tauber Walks. It's all part of the same umbrella there. And the first time, well, I'll continue my story from before because there's a connection that led to OTC. One of my friends said, I'm going to go to the Tauber Walk this weekend. And I said, gosh, what's a Tauber Walk? I said that this was around 2016, 17, somewhere in there. I went to one for my first time. I was working at WSIC here. I said, gosh, we've got to be involved in this. Met with Case. We worked out a deal where we used some advertising for some radio station presence about the time. 105.9 was close to going on the air around Lake Norman, was a natural impact. He called me up partway through the season and said, hey, could you MC the next festival? And WSIC had a booth there anyway that I was in charge of. I said, absolutely, be happy to. I did one. He called me up and said, could you do another one, the next one? I said, sure. He called me up again and says, could you just do next season for me? And I've been at about 2017, 18, right around there, I've been MCing and hosting every event in Old Town Cornelius.
And that is when I say you're the Kardashian of Lake Norman because you're there.
I'm there.
Those things don't happen. The connection with WSIC, the Catawba Walk, doing the MC, all of those, and you putting groups and pieces together, they don't happen without Patrick being around. So that's what I was trying to get to with your intro. Do you understand that?
Well, it took us a long time to get here. I hope it was worth the trip for the listeners, because it was for me, Joe. Well done, sir. Well done. Yes, but I get it. A lot of dominoes. One leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. I believe it was Dr. King that said faith is taking that first step without seeing the staircase. So that's one's all connected to the next one.
So one of the things that you do is seem to stay connected with a lot of the political types, statesmen in the area, because they want to be part of the pulse, which you are. Talk a little bit about that.
I am, I guess I would say that, connected to mayors or councilmen, board members from surrounding towns, from Statesville, Mooresville,
because they want to know what's happening.
Yeah, they do.
And you don't get to know what's happening unless you know Patrick.
Thank you, making me. I'm going to try to keep my head inside the headphones here. I will leave the names out of this story. We had an event.
Make fun of somebody.
No. I'm going to leave the names out of this story. We just had some elections last week around our local neighborhood, and one of the candidates for office in a local position came up and said, "Hey, I need a picture with you." It was at a local event that I was emceeing. And within 30 minutes, the opponent came up to me and said, I need equal time with a picture as well. So they took a picture with me, and I'm sure it went out on their social media, both people, whatever that is. And that reminds me of a second story. Do I have time for a second story?
You do.
Great.
Well, listen, you do until Wilton stands up with the firecracker and throws it in the room.
Or we could just have a host for the show that knows how to read the clock like we did last week.
No, we couldn't expect that.
The beautiful Kane Center for the Arts opened this past year.
Yep.
And there was a big ribbon cutting first events. There had some soft openings in January earlier this year. And I took my daughter as my date. It was one of her Christmas presents. Great. Yes. And we went, I had a suit and tie. She had a gown on.
No, you didn't have a suit and tie.
I did. And she made fun of me because I introduced her all night long, and it was the mayor, the councilman, mayor pro tem. It was those type of people, and she just looked at me, shook her head. She's a teenager.
Yeah.
Yes. I was like, gosh, you know a lot of people. I guess I do. And there's some folks on the board of directors with the Kane Center, and there's a lot of folks like that. You got Joshua Dobies, your
Right.
Justin Dion's,
Right.
a lot of people like that. And I just kept introducing her to person after person. I don't know if she rolled her eyes more or was a little impressed with Dad. I don't know which way it went. She's a teen.
Because you were trying to impress.
I certainly was. She's my girl, so absolutely.
So, from my vantage point, it seems like these small towns really allow you to connect with, let's call them statesmen, right? Or statespeople, in a way that allows us to plug in and them to also gather information as well, right? That's rare in a small town. Can we agree on that?
I agree. And
I mean, I couldn't do that. You couldn't do that in Charlotte, could you?
yes, you could. I bet we could. I bet we just haven't yet.
You could.
I could.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, I could.
Okay.
I could. I think we could. You could. I could. Jay could even. We'll get to Jay shortly.
Right.
But yes, Wilton. Yes, definitely Wilton. But all of us could. I think you don't have. You got to overlook the barriers. You see the barriers there. It may look intimidating. Don't be intimidated, but go for it. And I'll go back to some sales mentoring from Wes Muntz. You used to teach me with him. What's in it for me? Meaning, think about it from the other person's point of view. For these festivals, the community, the stages, the concerts, you present to them not what Patrick Reynolds is about, but
Right.
what does it do for you? If you approach it like that, sky's the limit. Let the doors open up and let opportunity come your way.
So Patrick's secret is, I just got the secret.
I didn't think it was a secret, but yeah, what's in it for them? Give,
Right.
serve, give that. Isn't that, the more you give, the more you get, in theory?
Right.
I don't think there's any reason why we couldn't do it in Charlotte. But the local community, yes, they do want to be part of what Waves Entertainment is doing in Old Town Cornelius. They do want to be a part of it because I'm cognizant of my role as an MC and a host. I think of myself as like the sprinkles or the hot fudge. Nobody goes to the sprinkles store. They go to the ice cream store. Now, the sprinkles might jazz it up a little bit, but it's the ice cream store. This is Joe Vagnone's show, not Patrick Reynolds' show, but I'm here. Hopefully, I jazz it up a little bit.
Sprinkles.
I'm the sprinkles.
Patrick is the sprinkles.
I'm the sprinkles. Or the hot fudge, whatever your thing, whatever it is. Yeah, that's what I try.
So do you have some advice for people that are trying to get back into the networking thing? Because COVID has slowed us all down, Patrick. Everybody but you understand. Do you have some advice for them?
COVID did slow the world down. Tenacity. Networking works, but keep in mind that it's long game. You do not step in there and expect some results within, say, 59 seconds or 60 seconds. No, it's long game. So you're sowing the seed, reap the rewards.
Okay,
later.
I put on a good shirt, right? I put on my
Sharp scarf for sure.
Scarf, okay, and I decide to walk into this room. Okay, what's the first thing I need to do? I walk in the door. I'm already uncomfortable. I see that woman over there looking at me. Maybe my shoes aren't clean. I see that dude over there looking at me. Maybe I gave him a face a couple of weeks ago. Didn't mean to. What do I do? What do I do when I walk in?
I think, not doing what you were just describing is a good start. People do eye you up. They come to judgment real quick. But bring confidence. Bring confidence that you are there to serve them. Don't see what you can take from them. Be confident in what you have that you want to serve them. You have something that's of value for them. Don't be looking to get, grab, sell, but tell, inform, educate, and have that attitude and posture of how you serve them.
Let me show y'all how Sprinkles really works. You are listening to Local Biz Now. If it's Monday afternoon, do it.
Your business matters.
Yeah! We'll be right back.
Local Biz Now with Joe Vagnone. We'll return after this short break.
Jay, you got about 2 minutes to leave if you don't want to do it. Or
you guys like set the bar really hard. It's like two professionals.
Except for that commercial.
We're an amateur coming in.
Each other for
Jeez
years.
Louise.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we come back, we're gonna fire this, right? But I'm gonna say it first, right?
Well done.
I'm waiting 6 years to say your business matters. I coach.
So you've never been on. Really?
I've never been on the show. Period.
Well, you know, when we were going to do it the last time,
Yeah.
Mark wouldn't let us.
I
I don't know what that was about, but he wouldn't let us.
Couldn't tell you. Don't know.
And Julie was like, "Let's just do it anyways." I'm like, "We're the owner of the station." You know, like, you know,
We don't.
I mean, you know,
I don't
it's
know.
It's not as if I don't mind doing what I want to do, but it is his station.
Why? Yeah. Why? Why are we pushing? Why push the envelope? I don't know either, but it just made worth the wait. Worth the wait.
You know, my kids had a band, local band that played over there all the time, the Glass Hammers.
The glass.
Whoa.
Glass Hammers.
Julie just informed me through the book that you did not end the show properly with your business matters.
I just did.
How dare you?
I just did.
Last week,
I didn't know.
you failed.
No.
You failed at that.
Nobody
Oh,
told
you
me.
questioning Julie?
Yes.
Because you won't be on the show again.
I've already been on the show, so that's fine.
I've already been on.
I've been on. I'm
I'll
on
say
it
again.
We need to address that because she said that in an email. You didn't close the show with your business man. I was like, I didn't know I was supposed to. Nobody told me I was supposed to. I
You
can
don't-
say
this show, you don't supposed to do anything. The whole idea of this show is no supposed to. Joe is about.
Then tell Julie because I'm in trouble with Julie.
No, Julie's all about supposed to. You understand?
She didn't tell me I was supposed to do that.
I didn't tell you you're supposed to do anything.
I
would never tell you you're supposed to do anything.
I know how to say your business
You
matters.
do?
I don't know when to say your business matters. I don't know if you ever read that on the book, but I coach people on how to say it.
I've seen that.
You say it is here's Jay because he's going to ask you to say your business matters. You say it like 3 sentences.
You're going to ask me to say that?
He may not. I don't know. But you put a period after each, like your business matters. That's the tagline. So I tell people put a period after each word, and you say it like 3 words, 3 sentences, 1 word sentence. Your business
Thank you, Wilton.
matters. That's how you say it.
Okay.
That's it.
Jay, are you ready to go, buddy?
I'm ready to go. Let's do it. Let's have fun.
Car showrooms. So come see us today. Randy Marion Ford Lincoln, pre-owned vehicles, Gateway Crossing Drive.
Randy Marion
I'm in trouble
Ford
with the factotum.
Oh, you in trouble with facto. You gonna have to clean that up.
Biz Now
Well, let's
continues
address that
with
before we get to
local
jail.
Entrepreneur Joe Vagnone on WSIC.
WSIC, where your business matters. You are listening to the #1 talk business show in all of North Carolina, coming to you live from the new Burner Cigar Studio, the finest premium cigars and the finest cigar smokers in the world, located at Birkdale Village. And we're going to, you know what, Wilton? Fire it up, buddy.
Flames can be fierce, but they can also fuel tranquility. Discover the serene side of life with me, Josh Johnson, as we help you explore the world of cigars at Burner Cigar. Ignite your passion for relaxation and elevate your moments.
Carlos Fuente makes the finest cigar I've ever smoked. It is called Opus X. If you smoke cigars, you know exactly what I'm saying. And this month, they are bringing out the Opus X for 2023. Go by Burners in Birkdale and check them out. They are absolutely exceptional. There are very few people that can experience these cigars because they're limited in us cigars guys pick them up fast when they get there. So go by. You are getting your notice. Go by and check that out and tell Josh that Joe sent you. Burner Cigars. Thank you so much for being a sponsor, Josh. I do appreciate it. So we are now going to introduce a gentleman that's been sitting here quietly, pleasantly, And the best way for me to introduce him is to say, man, if I knew him 30 years ago, I probably wouldn't have to be on the radio. You know, I could be sitting on the beach with an extra 50 million.
If I knew me 30 years ago, I'd be sitting on the beach right now.
We're all wishing that's where we were now anyway. So.
Jack Malik, he wrote a book. I want to show people this book, Achieve Wealth and Happiness, Proven Strategies for Success. Jay wrote this book. I don't know how we connected, but something about the book just intrigued me enough that I wanted to go through and read the book. And we invited Jay on the show. Jay, my friend, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it.
I love being here. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for reading my book.
So I don't know how we connected. I don't know exactly. Did you
Everybody
email
knows
it
about your
to
show.
me, or I don't know.
You're a local legend. I'm sitting at a table with local legends.
He's another Kardashian like me. I'm Joe Bagnone.
Good Lord. You should ask, how did I not get in touch with you much earlier?
So you are a former managing director, investment solutions executive at Bank of America Merrill Lynch. Also head of product development at the Columbia Threadneedle Investments.
That is correct. That was Bank of America's asset management business.
Okay. So give me a little bit of your background, right? Because you didn't wake up on a Tuesday and decide you wanted to manage somebody's money, did you? Well, give me a little bit of your background.
No. So I moved here to Mooresville, North Carolina 27 years ago after I finished graduate school at New York University. While I was at the university, I had heard the story, and this takes us a little bit into the book, about a cleaning woman, a woman who cleaned houses for a living, who left $50 million to a women's charity or a women's college in upstate New York. And that is basically what started me on the path to working in the asset and the wealth management business and learning the principles, the techniques, the ideas behind how people become wealthy. Because the question was, could she have done it? Could she have really? Obviously she did, but how did she do it? And that was the beginning of the journey that took me into my career, took me through graduate school, took me here to Mooresville, North Carolina, and ultimately led me to the writing of the book.
So I'm curious about this. I always want to know this about finance guys. Did you get started because you wanted to have a bunch of money, or because you wanted to help people that had a bunch of money? What was that? How did that inspiration start?
Yeah, I don't know that it started with me thinking about wealth. When I was in graduate school, I met a lot of very wealthy people, a lot of very wealthy and successful people in business. And so I think I just started the journey of wanting to know what it was that made people successful. Now, ultimately, wealth has two different definitions in my mind. One is monetary wealth, but the other is happiness, joy, and love. And my book is divided into two parts around both of those topics, because to have money without happiness is not true wealth.
You know, Jay, I think it's why I kept reading the book. You understand? Because I've been telling people for years. I've been self-employed since I'm 17 years old. I've never had a job, right? Never had a boss. And I've always told people I do not do what I do for money. Money measures whether I'm having a good day or not, right? But it's because when I get up in the morning, I want to do what I want to do. That pursuit, that interest that I have, right?
Yes.
I want it to be mine.
Yes.
I don't want it to be somebody else's.
Right.
So you hit on that in your book, right? You allow that to happen, and it's intentional. So we're going to get into that in a little bit.
Yeah, because I would agree with what you're saying. I think there's a difference between a job, a career, and a calling. And most of us think of people in the ministry as having a calling, but that is not true. You have a calling for radio. You have a calling through Waves Entertainment for, what you're doing. It's a calling for me to kind of learn about wealth, to learn about happiness, to learn about personal development. And then for me at this point in my life, it's to share that knowledge for the benefit of other people. And it's my calling. It's something I'm truly passionate about. And I really want to share it. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to share it.
So I don't hear you doing a whole bunch of other stuff. You've been in finance your whole career.
It's my life.
You know, you're a rare. This is a rare jewel that we have here, Patrick. You understand that, don't you? I don't know too many people that can say that.
I've done, through my story, a lot of things. I could go on and on about all the
Right.
other things we didn't get into that I've done.
Right.
I've
That's
bounced
right.
around. Life evolves. Life changes. So for you to be just, boom, you're here, you've been there, you wrote the book, that you've been here all these decades.
Yeah.
Phenomenal
It's-
story. You're almost like a unicorn.
Well, I don't. Maybe. If you asked me to define myself, I would first say I'm the dad of 3 daughters. You know, very successful daughters, and that's what I wrote the book for. Because I learned the principles. The principles are teachable. I have 3 daughters. I said, let's get this into the hands of my daughters, my nephews, my nieces, my friends' kids. And then friends kept asking me for copies. I'd go up to Staples. It would be $70, $80, $90 to print out a copy each
Right.
time because they kept disappearing off their tables, their little tables
Right.
in the front of their TVs. And they kept asking. So I said, you know what? When I took some time away from the financial services industry, from Bank of America, I decided, let's get this book out there. And as you and I have been discussing, my big audacious goal for this book is to, within one generation, transform this area around Lake Norman, all the way up through Statesville and all of the surrounding counties, into the richest region in America. And remember, America, we're 5% of the world's population, we're 25% of the world's GDP. I'm talking about transforming this region right here around Lake Norman into the wealthiest region in America, in the world, within one generation, using the ideas and the principles in the book.
And if you start with this book, I can tell you are on your way. Jay, you intrigued me when you said you wrote this book for your daughters, because I asked myself, did they really read it?
They did. My daughter, who's is a senior up at Chapel Hill, has read it 3 times. My nephew, who is out in Colorado, has read it 3 times, and they are well on their way to success. Again, I wrote a book that I would like to read. I wrote a book that I wish I had when I was their age.
Right.
I wrote a book that transforms lives.
So what I had to do as I read the book, I had to circle places that I wanted my son to read, because I know he was not going to read this entire book. You understand that?
Exactly.
So let's go through some of that
Please.
for some of the people.
Yeah.
And do that. One of the first things, my son went to High Point.
Yep.
I
Awesome.
noticed that one of the people that wrote about your book was
Nito Kubain,
Nito,
president of High Point University.
Do you know him? Can you talk a little bit about him?
Well, I know him a little bit. That is the premier life skills university, and I've been working with the dean of the business school up there to potentially roll out a personal finance class for the kids up at High Point University. I'm also talking right now with the president of Mitchell Community College, Tim Brewer, who lives here in Mooresville,
Right.
About rolling out a personal finance class through our community college that spans all the way from Mooresville all the way up to Statesville and the surrounding communities.
So when you handed the book to your daughter, did she like roll her eyes, or they say thanks, Dad? What did that look like?
No, I think for my daughters, they've been hearing the principles taught to them throughout their entire lives.
They knew the book was coming.
Yeah, one of the ideas for me in teaching my kids finance and about corporations was to take them to the Berkshire Hathaway meetings with Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. So we would literally go up there and they would have a chance to eat the dilly bars, because Berkshire Hathaway owns Dairy Queen.
Dilly bars,
to eat
delicious.
See's candy, debatably the best candy in the world. To go up and get on and off of private jets through NetJets, to try Brooks running shoes, right? Because all of those companies are owned by Berkshire Hathaway. So that's how I introduced them to the idea of wealth and investing. And that's ultimately, the book came from there.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to dig into some of the notes that I made. Your daughters are on the book right now with big hearts, saying they love Daddy, and they're confirming they read the book.
That's super nice.
You are listening.
That's a sign of success and wealth. If my daughters are actually on there doing that, thank you, girls.
Amen. You are listening to Local Biz Now. We'll be right back. Say it, Patrick. Say it.
Your business matters.
Yeah. Be right back.
More Local Biz Now with Joe Vagnone is coming up on the new
Trying to show off,
105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Is that okay?
Did great.
That's great.
That's great that his
Here's your
daughter's
WSIC community
Annalise.
calendar.
She's in Valencia,
Santa's coming
Spain.
to town.
And
Come out to
they're all on
Hartsfield
there?
Village
Isabella's
from
on there
2
too?
to 7 p.m. this Saturday, the 18th. WSIC will be broadcasting live from the event.
Thank you.
Activity
Gotta get back on her
Row,
good side.
Brookdale on Ice,
Okay,
Fire
Wilton,
Garden,
I'm back
dance
on track now,
performances,
right?
and the tree lighting parade.
Annalise
Dance
is
away the
listening
end of the
in-
night with
Say
live
what?
music.
Annalise
This
is listening
Saturday,
from
the fun
Valencia,
begins
Spain,
at
if
2 p.m.
she's
and the
in
tree
graduate
lighting
school there right
ceremony
now.
starts
Yeah.
at
Oh,
6.
awesome.
For more
Yeah.
info,
It's late
visit
over there.
Oh, she's in
It is.
Spain.
That's 6 hours?
Yeah.
We are going international.
You are
The
international.
last weekend
All
of the
right,
season
Alicia.
for the
We're gonna have to go
Davidson
through
Farmers
all the
Market.
vills,
Come out
from
and enjoy
Statesville,
local vendors.
from
Saturday,
Statesville
9
to
until noon,
Huntersville
the
to
last weekend
Spainville.
of the year for Davidson Farmers Market.
All the vills.
That's
For more
excellent.
info,
And
visit
Isabella's up at Chapel Hill.
davidsonfarmersmarket.org.
How old are your daughters?
Hit songs from the 1950s will have you wanting to boogie all night long. The Winter Dance Party this Saturday night, Charles Mack Citizen Center. Doors open at 6. For more info and to purchase tickets, visit ourtownstage.com. Mike
So when we
Ferris
get back,
and the
we're trying to go
Fortunate
dig
Few
into some
are
notes
coming
that
to
I have.
Payne Center for
Pick
the
anywhere
Arts
you wanna
this
go.
Saturday.
And,
Mike Ferris
um,
is a Dove
We'll
Award
just have
winning
some
artist.
fun.
Let's have fun.
Americana,
Okay.
rock,
Way to go.
blues,
Okay.
and gospel. Come enjoy a fun night of great music.
Hey girls,
Mike
if you
Ferris
are
and the
listening
Fortunate
on the
Few
book, if there's a
this
question you want me to
Saturday.
ask
Doors open
Daddy,
at 7
let me
p.m.
know. Put it on the book, and we'll
PayneArts.org.
ask him.
Have an event you would like to tell people about?
Oh.
Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between?
That's
Visit
fantastic.
WSICnews.com
That's really wonderful.
and click on events to submit your event today.
Thank you
The
to my daughter.
Renaissance
See,
Festival
now we
is
got-
back.
Nice to have you there.
Saturdays and Sundays
27,000
now from November
Right.
19th. Eat, drink, be merry
Now we got
at the
27,000
Renaissance
people
Festival.
listening
Tickets
and
available
3.
online
They're
only at
international.
renfestinfo.com.
International.
Why not
Wilton, we are
surprise and
international
global?
at this moment.
Yes, you
And
are.
now for a look at your
Huntersville
weather
to
forecast from
Statesville
the
to
WSIC
Spainville. All the
weather
bills.
center.
All the bills.
We'll continue warming up pretty good here through the morning and into the afternoon.
Julia's now
Sunny
got
skies
your
with
book
that high
on the book.
temperature getting up
Got
near
your
64
book on the
degrees.
book, and the
As you
link
head through
so
the rest
people
of the
can
day, partly
see it.
cloudy skies. That overnight low is getting colder. We're gonna be
Everybody
down around
needs a
38
Julie.
degrees tonight. This has been your weather forecast from
That's
the
a
WSIC
lifetime.
Weather Center.
Nobody likes Wilton.
Revitalize your landscape with ease. Experience hassle-free transformations with Drum Landscape Supply's swift and reliable delivery service. Visit drumlandscapesupply.com today. Drum
I am
Landscape
ready.
Supply, your local one-stop landscape shop.
Now more Local Biz Now with Joe Vagnone on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Yeah, #1 talk business show in all of North Carolina. News Talk WSIC. Local Biz Now. Say
Your business matters.
yeah. We are talking with Jay Malik. Am I saying that right?
Jay Malik, you're saying it exactly right.
Jay has written a book that I think is absolutely phenomenal, extremely detailed, and I can tell he genuinely cares about the topic. Achieve wealth and happiness, and the and happiness is a big deal to you.
Huge deal.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Proven strategies for success. Here's how you start the book. Shame on you. Shame on you, Jay. You say, and I'm serious about this, you say, there is simply no reason why anyone should have to live stressed because they have no money and cannot, therefore, have the life they desire. Shame on you for assuming, Jay, that we all can have the same life that you got. Talk about that, because that's really a big statement.
Yeah, it is. I think everybody needs to take personal accountability and responsibility for their life. The Lord, the person who created us, our Creator, wants us to be wealthy, wants us to live in a state of abundance. That's just the way the world is structured. And if you're not living in a state of abundance, whether it's wealth, monetary, and or happiness and joy, then you're missing out on
And
life's
that
great
requires you mentally
love.
to be intentional, right?
Very
and that's
intentional.
really what you're saying there in a strong way, right?
Oh, yeah.
Let's start thinking about what we want and what we have to do to move in that direction.
Right. It starts out with envisioning yourself already in possession of what it is you want to have in your life. So you could do that. You could achieve that by vision boarding. You can also do that by setting goals, having verbal goals, but also written goals. There was a professor up at West Virginia that said people with written goals will earn 7 times as much money in their lifetime as people without written goals.
You stepped right where I wanted to go.
Amazing, right?
You wrote, write down a few things and start a journal. And the first thing you say is, I will gain control of my financial situation.
Absolutely.
You want them to absolutely. It's like the core. You're saying, listen, you can do this.
Yes.
The second thing is, we'll achieve this ultimate health. It is important that you're talking about health way before they started making any money. Like
Sure.
it's second on your list here.
Sure. That's part of wealth and happiness and joy and achieving success. You've got to have it all. You've got to be healthy. You've got to live a balanced life. You've got to have wealth. You've got to have it all. And I'll tell you, in the book,
you're saying you can have
you
it
can
all.
have all of that. I went to University of Pennsylvania for some lectures, and the gentleman talked about work-life balance. Let's talk about that just for 1 second. What does work-life balance look like? Most people think of it as a scale, right? You overweight one and you have to underweight the other. But that's not the way he described it. The way he described it is it's like a jazz quartet or maybe a punk rock band or a rock band, right? Each of the different areas of your life are represented by a different instrument in the band. A singer, a drummer, a guitarist, somebody on the bass, lead guitar. And each of those areas is going to move to the front of your life during different episodes in your life, right? So let's say, you have a health issue. Well, health goes to the front, and your business and your personal and your religious might move to the side. But that doesn't mean they stop, right? When you listen to a great band, it's always sounding great, regardless of which instrument is up at the front, whether it's the lead guitar, whether it's the singer, whether it's the drummer. But at different parts of your life, things like health and or your business and or your religious and or whatever it is will move to the front. But that means everything else moves into a support position. The sound of your life always sounds great, right? You're never dropping one in order to focus on the other. You're just emphasizing one over the other at a different point in your life.
And you're saying in your journal, one of the things you want them to do, you want them to write, I will find a way, a daily way to experience bright side of life and be joyful.
Absolutely.
And they need to write that down. Yeah. I got to be honest with you. It really is so true, but very difficult to actually do.
Well,
right? So when your daughters read this, do they come to you and say, Dad, how do I do that? Because I had a really bad day today.
Yeah. Well, my daughters are doing a really good job of it. One of my favorite quotes is, you should try to live in a constant state of total amazement. And there are glimpses of heaven all around you, and you have to just immerse yourself into them. It's much easier than people think. So, for example, when you're walking out your front door,
that's funny you say that because it sounds real hard to me.
It might, but there might be, think about it, there might be flowers on both sides of your door while you're walking out. Do you notice them, or just jump into the car, turn the key on, and go to work, right? Do you notice the beautiful flowers as you're going down the highway? Do you notice the cardinal when it stops on your windowsill, right? Do you notice the beautiful clouds? Do you notice the beautiful wind on your face? Do you notice these things? This is all part of living in a constant state of total amazement. So that is one of the things that you should constantly be focusing on in order to achieve that ultimate form of wealth, which is the happiness, joy, and love.
Right. So one of the things you do, and I learned this early in life only because I started in business early, right? You really do need a financial statement. You need to measure where you are.
That's right.
So, but you describe it in a much more unique way. Talk about that.
So the book is broken into 2 parts, and they're both focused on wealth, right? The first part is focused on your financial wealth, and the second part of the book is focused on your happiness and how to achieve happiness. So the first part, we talk about having a financial plan, right? You have to have an annual doctor's appointment with your financial self, whether by yourself or with a financial advisor or somebody. You need to know what your present financial situation is. There's a statement that says, in order to manage something, you need to be able to first measure it, right? So you've got to measure it in order to manage it, in order to And then from manage it, you can get ultimately into control. So in the first part of the book, we talk about, knowing your financial situation, learning how to save, learning how to control your spending habits in order to find the money to be able to save, keeping your debt very low, rolling that into investments, learning how to invest, and then ultimately understanding the power of compounding, which is why we invest. Compounding is the most powerful force in the universe, and it's what allowed that cleaning lady to go from $10,000 to $50 million.
Right.
And then you also need to have an estate plan, which basically means just prepare for the unknown, right? The unexpected, which means at a minimum, have a will and have insurance. So they have an immediate estate in the case that your plans, because I heard somebody say, we plan, God laughs. If God's laughing, you want to have a plan that's going to pay off, even if you're not able to do it in your lifetime, right? So that's that. And then the second part goes into all these ideas on happiness and how to achieve those. And there's every chapter has a exercise in order to help you understand the idea, implement the idea, practice the idea.
I think that's why I like the book so much, because you're giving me a place to actually take a breath, because there's a lot of data here, right?
Yeah.
And write and think through that. One of the things you talk about in the book, it really isn't about how much you make, it's how much you spend, right? And you kind of talk about, let's go through, and you've got this chart of, do you want the $4 cup of coffee?
That's right.
Or do you want the coffee from the office? You
That's
go
right.
through all of these things, right?
Right.
And you it's almost as if you throw it in my face and say, do you really need the new car?
Well, people,
or can you have the 2-year-old car?
That's exactly right. And you need to change your way of thinking on these things. So when you have a $3 cup of coffee per day, do you realize that's a $500,000 habit over your lifetime, right? And people, and I'll answer the question for people in the book. How did the cleaning woman, how did she save $50 million, right? She could have been an early investor in something like Google or Costco or Amazon, right?
Right.
But she could have also done it as easily as, and Warren Buffett was telling this to Becky Quick in 2019, as easy as back in 1942, if she had had $10,000, she could have put it in an S&P 500 fund, not added any additional money, and by 2019, that would have been worth $51 million.
You amuse me that you thought that through.
It's amazing, right?
But that goes to show you what this book is about, because you really are being, you are, this is not fluff. You are being very specific here.
No.
When you say strategy, you mean there is
I do mean strategy. And then this goes back into controlling your spending habits. So for an average family makes about $76,000 per year in America, but you don't make $76,000 because you got to pay taxes. So you make about $54,000. That's an average American after tax, what they bring home. That's two people in the family working. But in my book, in that spending section, I find over $26,000 worth of little things that you can change, like you drinking the coffee in the office as opposed to buying the coffee at Starbucks. If you make those little changes, you can find $26,000. That's $26,000 per year that you can put into a savings account, like the cleaning woman who put $10,000, but she only did it one time, and she was able to accumulate over $50 million. So imagine if I've shown you how to find $26,000 every year, and you keep putting that away year after year after year. We're not talking $50 million. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars.
And so one of the things we don't have time to get into, I'm going to have to get you back, my friend, but you talk about Ben Franklin a lot. It seems like he's a special person to you. And you even go through and talk about, you have your own list, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get you back, and we're going to go through that. Please, I encourage people, please go get this book, Achieve Wealth and Happiness, Proven Strategies for Success. Jay Malik. Jay, my friend, thank you so much. I do appreciate you being here today.
Thank you for having me. And this book is for you. Please get it. Please read it. Please reach out to me. I'm available for conversation on LinkedIn. The book is available on Amazon.
You are listening to Local Biz Now. If it's Monday afternoon, say it, say it, say it.
Your business matters.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
The new 105.9, 100.7 WSIC. States